You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, we got a couple of things involving Shedeur Sanders. Of course, the big story of the last 3 days in the NFL, and frankly, I've got to admit, one of the biggest stories in a very long time involving anybody in the NFL was the Shedeur Sanders drop. And there's been so many collateral stories coming out of that, whether it's the fact that you got people literally going to war, people are being called racist because I guess people perceive a victory lap. I don't know that anybody was taking necessarily a victory lap. It's just, and what was weird was I'd been hearing for weeks that there were a ton of teams that did not have a first-round grade on Shedeur Sanders. And the fact is, when you go over the history of quarterbacks drafted, I think Albert Breer said in the last 25 years, like 70 or so quarterbacks have gone in the first round. And then if you combine the second and third round together, it didn't even reach the number 70. So there was always a chance. Once he got past the first round, he was dropping into the fourth at least. But came with that a ton of drama. And I will say this, no doubt about it, and this is why I think teams were hesitant to draft Shedeur. All the drama surrounding Shedeur exploded the ratings on night 2 of the NFL draft. Guys, it's not often we sit here and we talk about ratings and you ever say the words, a 40% increase. That doesn't happen. I can't remember the last time that sort of thing happened outside of one person in sports. Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. That's the only one I can think of. The one before that involving football that I can remember was Tim Tebow. And that's been a long time. People don't realize how long that's been now. After an 11% jump for day one, on the second night of the NFL draft, surged by 40% as Shedeur Sanders remained on the board. By the way, we'll get to his comments about being drafted by the Browns. We'll get to that in a minute. Friday's second and third rounds of the NFL draft average a combined 7.3 million viewers across TV and streaming. That is a big number. Per Nielsen's Fast Nationals released by the NFL Saturday, up 40% from last year, behind only 2020 at 8.2 million. That was COVID. There wasn't any other sports-related activities to watch. As the most watched second-day draft on record. Wow. So the second highest one ever. Outside of 2020, an outlier year in which the draft was the only live sportscast for weeks, no other day, 2 telecasts reached even the 6 million mark. Wow. Viewership was likely impacted by the saga of Colorado QB Shedeur Sanders, son of Dion. An expected first-round pick was not selected on Thursday or Friday. Sanders was finally picked in the 5th round on Saturday. Draft viewership is impacted by many factors, but nothing moves the needle quite as much as a predominant quarterback going later than expected. Back in 2014, before the sweeteners of out-of-home viewing and broadcast network simulcast, the first round of the draft averaged 12.37 million when Johnny Manziel went from an expected top 10 pick to being selected late in the first round. Yet even the draft slides of Manziel and Aaron Rodgers before him did not spill into the second, much less the third day. I would assume, this is just a guess, I will assume this will be the largest audience ever when the third day ratings come out. It's going to be big. It's going to be, and I wonder, now, I don't know if people would be willing to sit through. That third day is a long, long day. And I watched it. I had it on while I was working. but it's still a long watch. You got to be a hardcore football fan. Shedeur Sanders, quote, I know I'm going to fit in perfectly in Cleveland. Well, I did a video on the big channel yesterday because video emerged of the draft room from Cleveland. And the general manager, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski, they were none too happy when this pick was being announced. Now, I had a theory. I still got this theory, and I still believe it. Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, forced this pick on to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. I put it out on X, and I said, did Jimmy Haslam literally just Deshaun Watson this whole thing up? Why did I make that correlation? Because it was him that pushed the limits to get Deshaun Watson and then gave him a $230 million contract, which has, as we all know, hamstrung the franchise for the last 3 seasons. It's been a disaster. And it has a lot of people wondering because, and look, it's easy to think this. They took a quarterback in round 3. I mean, think about that a minute. Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders thinks he has landed in the right place, even if it took longer than expected. I do agree. Kevin Stefanski can work with the skills that Sanders has got. Now, he's going to have to fully buy in and be humble. He's a 5th-round pick. Sanders, selected in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, says he liked Browns when he visited them before the draft, still likes them now. Quote, I know I'm going to fit in perfectly. It's first getting in, showing respect to the vets, showing I'm ready to work, show the coaches, and have them understand I'm ready to work so they can actually understand the real me. That's what I'm truly thankful to have, is the opportunity for people to see the real me, not the stuff that could be true or not. That's what I'm excited about being in the building. And, of course, it goes on to talk about all the quarterbacks on that roster right now. Dylan Gabriel, I would guess he's in a lot of trouble now. And I said yesterday online, this would have made sense. Taking 2 QBs, I don't have a problem with. All right, it was the one thing out of the Patriots draft last year I liked was Drake May with the 3rd pick overall and then Joe Milton in the 6th. Why? Because so many quarterbacks bust. And sometimes I wonder why teams don't draft 2 every year. You know, if you need one, draft one high, draft another one in the 6th or 7th round until you get one that freaking hits. But the problem is the way things are divvied up from a repetition standpoint, and they got to figure this out. Whether it's a developmental league, partnership with the UFL, whatever. The NFL's got to figure out how to develop their quarterbacks better because they're simply not getting enough repetition. And there's not enough reps to go around in Cleveland. Now, Deshaun Watson, obviously, not going to be involved, probably will never take another snap for the Browns again. Most Browns fans are happy about that. I don't blame you. Joe Flacco's probably the starter. Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. It's probably going to be a battle between Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel to be the 3rd quarterback. But Kenny Pickett came out a few weeks ago and said, I'm here to try to start. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being shipped off somewhere for a player to be named later at this point. Obviously, I'm kidding, but you get the point. I'm sorry, but personnel departments are not going to make decisions. Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round was a reach. Okay? But they took that reach. They intended him to compete to be an eventual starter. You don't take a backup there. All right? 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, maybe even some 4th round, you're hoping and you're wanting starters. Starters. You will not convince me that Jimmy Haslam did not force Shedeur Sanders on Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. If they wanted him, they'd have taken him in the second round. And they never would have drafted Dylan Gabriel. It is what it is. I will say this. Shedeur is saying the right things now. I'm ready to get in there, respect the vets, and go to work. Good luck, kid. I mean, honestly, if he will work hard, I mean, it's a league where if you can play, they will let you play. So if he can play, that is a good system for him. Pocket quarterback, can process, high completion percentage. But part of that high completion percentage was he was taking a lot of sacks instead of just throwing it. That's part of this. By the way, quit with people, Baker Mayfield and Shedeur, nobody had a problem with Baker's cockiness. Baker Mayfield was the number 1 overall pick and was light years a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders ever was in college. 3 years. Oklahoma, high level, All-American, Heisman winner. Go back and look at, I pulled their stats up and looked at them earlier, and I'm like, it's not even close. And by the way, people say a lot of things, well, Shedeur doesn't have any standout traits. Okay, well, that's true. Baker does. A lot of people don't realize this. Baker Mayfield's got a freaking sniper rifle on his arm. He's got a cannon. He's always had a very damn good arm. And he was accurate. All right, Shedeur does not have Baker Mayfield's arm. If he did, he would have went in the first or second round. So we can stop that. I mean, that comparison, it's not close. It's not. Baker threw 41 touchdowns in the National Football League last year. And he should still be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You can thank Jimmy Haslam for that. Bad owners stay bad owners. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.